So what we had first was a little bit of a discussion to set the scene of what was happening at the time with the Rodney King situation, the Rodney King beating, the Rodney King verdicts. Many of our students were not actually born at the time that that was occurring, so although they might have heard his name, they might not know the specifics. So we framed that a little bit. We talked a bit about what they're much more familiar with, but to just give the facts of Michael Brown and what was occurring, what is occurring still in Ferguson. And then from there we had our distinguished panel speaking and giving their thoughts on representations of Black men in media, as well as these two particular incidents, talking about Rodney King and Ferguson, and giving us some important critique and some skills also to move forward. And from there, we split up the room into 4 different quadrants. We're calling them our caucus groups. Each of our caucus groups is paired with one of our panel leaders, as well as one of our student leaders from the Minority Leaders of Communication. And they're talking now in small groups about what do we think about what our panelists have said, which is important for them to make sense of that critique and to add on to that commentary and to make it their own. But then also to think about how do we move forward? How do we leave here with solutions? What we want to do is for students to feel like they are coming out of every interaction that we're having at the center empowered, and not just thinking about critiques, but thinking about action and thinking about solutions. So that's what we're hoping to leave with today.
Our solutions were education in the school system, large scale and small scale. The one that I kind of really focused on was using social media, and kind of instead of using all the negative images or cool things like being thuggish, being a rapper, kind of bombarding the kids with images of Black males being successful, making educational strides and doing good things in their community. And if other people wanted to elaborate on the other ones we had.
Where I grew up, high school, my town was like 95% white. So the problem of race was never a problem because we never had to encounter it.
The negativity of all those words is not present in other minoritized groups like Asians. And even words like athlete, which could be argued as positive, are the problem with those is that they're very one-dimensional, and as human beings we're all very multi-dimensional, multifaceted. Obviously we all have a lot of aspects to our identities, and by limiting a person or an entire race, in this case to a single dimension, is very dangerous. We need to become the change ourselves, as cheesy as it sounds. Let's see, what did we say? So create and control our own images. We always, I think, expect, like someone else is gonna be that next MLK, someone else is gonna be that next Dr. Lafayette, or be that next big figure who's gonna bring about change in this country, in this world. But we need to take charge and take initiative and become that person ourselves, even if on a small interpersonal basis in our own communities. We might not be MLKs of our own countries, but we can, be that person in our own individual communities.
So we were talking about stereotype threat and how deeply these images affect everyone, including African American males, and how we begin to internalize these and see that as, the ways of being.
It's about changing your mindset and thinking how, the small things in life, because Blackness in the end is something that's socially constructed, I feel like, and we don't even realize that we're doing it.
So some of the things that we talked about with our media stereotypes was just kind of like how the media kind of portrays like black men as sometimes like sex symbols, like got like Usher and like 50 Cent and all those kind of very like hyper masculine, very like, they, in their music videos they have all like women surrounding them, and they're just like the ultimate like sex symbol. And another thing is that we always kind of talk about like how Black people are like very athletic, and you kind of see like when you watch like football, it's like mainly like Black people and the white guys are sitting on the bench. And then you have another thing that we kind of talked about in a more like micro level or more individualistic in someone's society is like how violent they are with like different crimes that will pop up on your local news. Might be more central around like Black men. And something that one of our group members like kind of brought up is like with all these stereotypes that we had mentioned before, there is kind of like this thing versus person kind of effect where it's not so much like your individualistic, but more part of like a stereotype or a society that you kind of, or a societal image that you're kind of thrust into.
So now, the real question is, we are multicultural, and that's the thing that has to be appreciated. Yeah, folks say, well, I don't see color. Well, you should. Color is beautiful. Okay, all those different colors and that sort of thing. We have to appreciate those different cultural identity changes, and we have to learn to accept each other, and that's a key thing, more important than anything else. And when we began to accept the differences here in this country among us, then we are ready to be part of the world and the global society. Okay? Thank you.
I wanted to thank the MLC. This group of students is really amazing. So I wanted to publicly thank them and to tell them that they are giving me hope, that they are really showing me what this university, and as Dr. Lafayette said, what this world is going to be.